Welcome to game number 2 of the Go for StarCraft Monday Premium Cup, guys. We're in the lower half of the brackets, currently following two great players. The player here spawning in the top right corner of the map, though, with a bit of a funny name, is better known as Max Flows ZAZU. ZAZU, of course, is a pretty cool logo. Just a little shout out to that. Looks like one of those, like, you know those anime emotions, like when they're angry, or it's like, ugh, and it's like in the top right. Okay, anyways, his opponent in the top left, playing for my insanity with that awesome little voodoo puppet doll thing. It is gonna be your red Protoss, Stardust. Dirty Mike wants a shout out, so Dirty Mike can have a shout out. Thanks for tuning in today, and everyone else who's joining us in the Go for StarCraft Cup. Stardust, though, playing a little bit cheeky, a little bit cheesy. So well, this is gonna get scouted, I think. This is such a weird place to do this. I mean, you send overlords across the map to scout, right? I guess Stardust was relying on ZAZU to put it as natural instead of the main. Another very realistic possibility, guys, is Stardust may not want to play a macro game versus this player. He has fully walled in that pylon too, which is why you don't have drones being pulled into this. ZAZU knows exactly what's coming and says good luck. For Stardust, it's kind of rough. You can't really just say, you know what, screw it, I didn't mean to do it, oops, LOL. So he's kind of got to follow through with this a little bit. How much he dedicates, though, is going to be another question altogether. So eventually Spinecrawler will get made, and eventually Spinecrawler will clean this up. But initially, these two Zealots are going to be quite strong. ZAZU went for pool first, of course, not hatchery first or anything quite so silly. So, I mean, realistically, ZAZU should be able to hold this if he does this correctly. But, you know, the thing is, Zealots are really strong, no matter how you look at it. So Stardust, not perhaps in the biggest worry. I mean, I don't know. I think he should be able to do a bit of damage here, but whether he macros out of this or whether he decides to completely all in, dedicate 100% is a whole nother question. First Zealot's already out, and the Spinecrawler's coming down. This is the time which he needs to kill some drones. The 8 Lings are on the way, and if he fights within the mineral lines, that's going to be his best bet to try and keep this round from going off, but realizing, like, oh my god, that's a lot of Lings. I don't want to fight too much, too near, too close. The probe's going to add a little bit of not just damage, but surface area reduction, which is why you see him keeping it with the Zealots. It seems a little silly to phrase it like that, but realistically, the probe, like keeping the Zerglings from getting a complete and entire surround, is huge. I like that he's waiting to go in with the Zealots, though. So he could have just tried to YOLO in for the Spinecrawler, but if he does, he probably dies, is the problem. If he waits for additional Zealots, then he's got a fighting force, which he can actually, you know, come in with. The biggest thing right now that ZAZU's doing is trying to get the Zealots just shields down, poke with it, get free damage and win it where he can. Zealots are incredibly strong units, guys, not just in their damage, but in their health as well as their shields, so it's not easy to deal with these bad boys. And, ooh, sneaking a couple of Lings across the map. Is Stardust going to give up the gateways? What's he? Okay, he's sending one across to defend, but I mean, with probes, he should be okay. We'll chase the Lings back for now. And you guys might be wondering, like, why doesn't ZAZU just leap forward some, like, Spinecrawler action here? But if he does, then it's going to be unburrowed, and it gets focused down, and a lot of damage happens. For Stardust, at this point, he may just try and hold the ramp as his focal point from this point on. I mean, Stardust already got the Cybercore coming in home. He's got the Forge coming down, too, so he can put a cannon within his middle line, which is probably what he'll have to do. Normally, of course, you'd love to just put the cannon at the front, but that's not an opportunity he's going to be afforded. Doesn't quite pull enough probes there to deal with the Lings, so loses one. Fighting at the ramp, the whole position with these Zealots, there's no way these Lings push down, so Spinecrawler needs to be repositioned here if he wants to be able to push out of his base anytime soon. Stardust doesn't quite have enough to fully wall off the bottom ramp. But, oh, goes for the Queen, should get a surround, will kill this Queen at the cost of maybe a Zealot. Nope, not even. Lings, oh, gonna get right on by. They'll hold the Zealots in place. This is really bad for Stardust now, because unfortunately, well, I take that back. He's actually out of range of the Spinecrawler, just barely. As you saw, one of the Zealots did die, but he'll take quite a few Lings out with him. And as far as the counterattack goes, again, there's a Zealot at home, there's a cannon down. Stardust is not screwed out of this game yet. ZAZU had to cut as many workers as Stardust kind of did to make this many Lings to get the Spinecrawlers down and make his Queen in time to really efficiently deal with this. Stardust just needs to... Okay, let's just go for a full... Okay. Mothership Core should be able to clean these Lings up before they break the pylons down. I was going to say, well, we wait, imagine... Okay, never mind. Gonna cancel all three, just buying himself a little bit of time there. Between the cannon and the Zealot, should be able to hold a majority of his probes, but not if he's not careful with them. Does have to be very delicate. Each of these probes so precious. He's already down by 5 workers. Not that that's the end of the world, but You know, Zazu, if he had a hatchery already, he'd be miles ahead. He'd be like, okay, I got this game in the bag. With Stardust, he's got his tech on the way. And like I said, he'd love to get a pylon down here just to get this wall off going so he can secure a natural, but that's not happening anytime soon, sadly. The constant threat of additional links coming across the map is always going to be a problem for him. I mean, as we saw, one cannon in the main, it cleans it up, but he still managed to lose probes while that was going on. So a bit of a funky start to this game, but I don't know. It's weird. I'm looking at the actual values of what's happening right now, and it's kind of like a gateway expand, like 3 minutes later, if that makes any sense. Trying to shut down the gold base. Ooh, if he could have gotten that drone, that would have been huge, but unfortunately will not be able to. Mothership core across the map means he's got nothing at home to defend with other than that one zealot, which was actually brought away. So I take that back. He's only got the cannon to hold with, which he certainly can. But not, of course, something he's necessarily going to want to rely on. Again, these lings can outrange the cannon and go for the dives on these probes, as we see. Stardust actually microing back the low ones, mineral walking them through, but still going to lose a couple more here in the end. Stargate on the way is what I'm really curious about. Is it going to be for Void Rays? Is it going to be for an Oracle? There's no way it's for Phoenixes off of a weird 2-gate opening like this, but still an option. Let's not forget it is Stardust, and he's got some of the better control of most Protoss players. I mean, okay, all jokes aside, guys, Stardust obviously known for his cheesy tactics sometimes, nicknamed Cheese Dust, and for good reason, but a lot of the reason he gets away with that, and a lot of the reasons why those tactics work, are because his control is top-notch. So we do have a Void Ray coming up here in a second's time. The Void Ray will actually be really good at dealing with these low ling numbers, but the second that the Void Ray is revealed, I'm kind of scared that it's going to be like, surprise, we got Hydralisks. Gets another drone kill. I'm surprised he went for the cancel on that hatchery. I really think he could have gotten away with that. But gonna lose another probe here, bleeding. It's not a huge deal. I do like the additional sentries brought in here too. You can always force field off the mineral line exits so that the lings can't quite dive. Don't think he'll need to in this case though. The cannon and the sentry should be enough DPS. Yeah, looks like they are this time. But okay. Trying to secure his natural base, something that's taking him a little bit longer. Kind of like watching a Protoss player in Daedalus Point. You just gotta like get some actual units out to secure the base. But Zazu, you know, he's on 2 bases right now. He was really scared of that Void Ray coming out, really scared of whatever air unit could have been coming. Again, an Oracle can take on a Queen. Phoenixes are an okay option, not the best by any means. So an Overlord here, and Stardust didn't invest in more than one, guys. He's got +1 weapons on the way. He's following this up with a very appropriate way to play the game. And in fact, a Robo being slammed down here on the front gate too. So, I mean, with these sentries, might be gearing up for a very late Immortal Sentry all-in, which, ironically enough, under any other scenario, probably would be incredibly effective. But there's already some Spine Crawlers down. If Zazu catches wind of this, he just throws down like 3 more, and he can hold the top of the ramp for a decent amount of time. At least until he's got units out to deal with it. But the layer's only just started. And remember, guys, Zazu, it might look like he's a bit further ahead than he really is. Don't get me wrong. He's looking pretty darn sharp in this game. But he spent so much putting into his lings, continued investments, waiting to get his drones up, late queens, delayed queens, killed queens, and what have you. So, again, it's like I said earlier, a kind of a normalized game just like 4 minutes later. Love the double oracles. This may scare Zazu, but looks like no, he knows it's going to be hallucinations as they run into range of the detect from that Spore Crawler. Void Ray, sadly, as cool as it is, can't quite take on queens, so has to back on out. And Stardust sees the 3rd base coming down, I believe. Let me just confirm. Yep. A couple lings at the front here. They get their shields down on a sentry, but not the big deal. Kind of a cool move to just box them in. Definitely secures some kills, locks them down. But as predicted, the Immortal's on the way, and I would love for like someone to be joining this game right now. Like tuning into the stream, it's like, wait, it's 13 minutes? And the 3rd base has only just started? What's happened so far? A couple more lanes going to try and get in here. He'll lock them into place, but that might cost him a sentry or 2. They are getting really low, and of course these sentries, unfortunately, their energy's already been pretty much exhausted. Granted for the cost of quite a few lane kills, but he's going to need every sentry, every force field if he wants to follow this up. And like I said earlier, Zazu, he saw this coming. Now he's got additional Spine Crawlers on the way. There used to be a time, once upon a time in Wings of Liberty, guys, where you throw down like 10 Spine Crawlers, 15 Spine Crawlers, and you hold Sentry Immortal all in, it's like it's nothing at all. You can still try and emulate this, but as we see, Hydralisks on the way are the better option by large in a far margin. Or by far in a large margin, I can't speak. The reason, of course, Hydralisks are so good, it's not just the fact that their DPS is incredibly high, but they've actually got the range to shoot over the force fields if given those groove spines, which they currently do not have, mind you, but with +1 upgrades on the way, a little bit understandable. The Spire coming out too is a little bit cute. This is, I think, precautionary more than anything else. Nope, I take that back. 9 Mutalisks being slammed down right away. Sublime Cutie bringing this up in chat. I just want to address that real quick. Our VODs are not required to be subscribed, or they shouldn't be anymore. We fixed that like a week and a half ago. It was the case for a little while. For those who don't know why that happened, because I regret having to do that for the 2 weeks that we did it. The reason we had to keep the VODs in subscribe mode was because there was a Skype image shown of like somebody's Skype full and entirely, and we wanted to cut the games up from that VOD and delete it. The problem was nobody could remember which VOD that was, because we cast so darn much. So you should not need subscriber option to see our VODs anymore, and if you do, please someone PM me on Twitch so I can look into that, because I removed that option several days ago. At any rate, still coming through the game, we got Stardust ready to rock and roll with a push that he's not able to execute, sadly. Mutalisks have been revealed, and so what I was saying before, I got caught up in chat. This is why I don't read chat during games, guys. I shouldn't do it. Anyways, the Mothership Core are going to actually double overcharge you to chase the Mutalisks off. This is actually kind of a bigger deal than it really is, or than it may appear, because the Mutalisks could have killed quite a few probes. There's not the Phoenix count, much less a Stalker count to actually deal with this. But what this Mutalisk sort of aggression shows, well, it costs him a couple Mutalisks. It keeps Stardust from pushing. He knows that with just Sentries and Immortals, he doesn't want to fight versus this many Mutalisks caught out in the open in the middle of the map. So, warping in Stalkers, getting his tech up. Blink is, of course, on the way to add a little bit more maneuverability to these Stalkers. Guardian Shield is always fantastic to have, as well as those force fields, as it does affect the Glaive Worm bounces as well as the initial damage. Go for the gold base here for Stardust, a little bit bold with the Mutalisks roaming about. Not sure I love that choice, but these 3 Hydralisks are awkward. But, like, if there was a base here, like, was this intended to be a run by? I'm not sure what that was supposed to be, but okay. Pathogen Glands coming out. We got possible Infestors coming out afterwards. Looks like Stardust will take a small engagement and claim the lives of those awkward Hydralisks. And Mutalisks just roaming around the map. So this one's cleaning up creep tumors. Okay, you go, guy. So Mutalisks are a problem right now for a lot of matchups. ZVP, I feel, specifically more than any others. A lot of the times you think like, hey, I just go Phoenixes and I win this game. Worst case scenario, I throw down like Alien Pulse Crystals, and that will win you against Mutalisks. The problem is, even with double Stargate production, combination of getting caught in a fungal and the potential of getting Corruptors out. I mean, if you guys didn't see it, Puck versus Bly was a show match we had. A best of 7 not too long ago for the Money Peak series. It was our first ever Money Peak match. And it was just basically 6 games or whatever of Bly going Mutalisk Corruptor over and over and over again. And you got to see how incredibly frustrating that can be to deal with if a player has great control of his units. So Stardust could be in some trouble later on. Actually, lifts up a Changeling. I've never seen anyone Graviton beam a Changeling. But hey, if it shuts down the scouting information, why the hell not? But trying to lock down the gold for the time being. The gold base, I feel, is going to be kind of... it's weird how much the gold base can really sway a game in your favor. So let's assume you're a player like Stardust. You got 9 gateways, normally, warping in tons of zealots to try and take a fight. But the gold base, you can actually afford to go up to more like 14. And with crazy warp-ins, take a huge advantage. But again, the Infestors are here, locked and loaded with some fungal growths. Phoenixes can deal with the Mutalisks, guys. That's not the question here. That's not the problem here either. It's the fungal growth he's got to look out for, because if he gets fungal, Mutalisks can take a fight. The greatest thing Phoenix have going for them is the fact that they can move while shooting and outrange the Mutalisks, but unfortunately forced to fight. Both players taking a bit of a loss there. Resources lost in the end kind of evened out, but of course Blinkstalker is going to get on top of the Infestors, so a small mistake revealing the fact that they were so exposed. And they are armored units, guys, so they take bonus damage from those Stalkers. Infested Terran's going to do what they can, but realistically, this base is not looking too good for Zazu. He may be better off just canceling it, quite frankly. Infestors are just going to try and walk out of here, but as I stated before, they're probably just going to die and they go down. Lots of Lings coming out, though. This is going to be actually really good. There's not a lot of investment into them. They've had no upgrades whatsoever, not even Carapace. But they flood, they fodder, they eat the hits that the Mutalisks and the Infestors don't want to take. And it looks like Zazu's base down here was canceled or killed. Sorry, I wasn't watching that one. But with so many freaking spine crawlers. Oh, Stardust is not going to do any easy run-bys. Normally, you'd love to just send 3, maybe even 5 Zealots to a base, snipe it off. But, of course, that's not going to happen. Not today. A huge advancement here with the spine crawlers. This is okay. So this isn't quite swarm host tactics, right? But what this will do is the same effect, where it creates like this sort of zoning area where you can't just blink stalkers forward to pick off the infestors. If you do, you'll lose all your stalkers to the insane spine crawler wall that's been thrown down. Dark Shrine, otherwise a bit of a curious choice. I believe there's detection at each base. Yeah, Spore Crawler, Spore Crawler. Okay, no. Okay, well, there's Spore Crawlers with the main line here that are being built right now, and a couple at the bottom right base. So Dark Templar, not going to get their fullest effect, but if Stardust can sneak them in some way, somehow, they'll definitely do some damage. But one of those easier said than done scenarios. Immortals are great at busting through this, by the way, guys, but again, you can't just send the Immortals in blindly. They'll get picked off. The Warp Prism Harass continues down here towards the south. Zealots trying to do what they can, even against unupgraded Lings. When you got 50 Lings, it's just not even a contest. Might be best off trying to, use his forces to come down here towards the south, get away from the middle of the map where there's that giant spine crawler wall. Looking to zone out the Mutalisks. They are going to try and go for a snipe here. Going to get some probes for sure on the gold base, but it looks like the Phoenixes are going to try and clean these up. And the Phoenixes with Anium Pulse Crystals, guys, to get a bonus 2 range, and the Mutalisks don't even stand a chance. But if you get fungled, if you got some Corruptors to zone for you, all of a sudden those Phoenixes are not nearly as scary. Oh, but this army! Oh no, the Phoenixes, because they were brought to the north, open a big hole in the wall here, and this is gonna, not hole in the wall, hole in the defenses of Stardust. He's actually gonna kill the Infestors immediately. That's actually really important that he just killed those with the Immortals, because now this, the Phoenixes can dance with the Mutalisks, and as we see, the Mutalisks are just getting shredded. Again, one of the few units in the game that can actually move and shoot. Phoenixes are fantastic aerial units if you've got good control over them, and Stardust certainly does. Losing everything says good game. It looks like we had a drop in the main, or a Warp Prism attack in the main while that was happening too. My bad on not showing you guys, but in the end, Stardust will take it and move on to the brackets.